Welcome to Living Free. My name is Penelope Rivera, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and an ordained minister with the Assemblies of God. And this program centers around walking in the freedom that God has called you to walk in and has called me to walk in. We're not called to be bound by anything, whether it is an addiction, whether it's anxiety, depression, toxic relationship, our distorted thinking, or our inability to regulate our emotions. God wants you walking in freedom so that you can experience the full, abundant life He has for you. And so this program today, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm actually going to kind of use a therapeutic tool I do with my clients to help them kind of understand a little bit about their emotional experience. And I call it the continuum of emotional balance. And I find it fitting that I'm doing this today, and considering that I've had to do 4 takes on this video because on the emotional balance, the continuum, as you see, we can move up and down quickly depending on things that are going on in our life. And I love it when I sit with clients and sometimes I hear them say, oh my goodness, I went from zero to 10 in like 2 seconds, meaning they went from complete calm to complete insanity or whatever was going on, anger. And that actually is not correct. Okay, we don't go from 0 to 10 in 2 seconds. There are things that are going on in your mind and in your emotions that actually build you up on that continuum. It's just that people aren't aware of it. And so today I hope to bring a little bit of awareness to that emotional balance and use a visual for you to be able to watch, look, and go, oh, okay, I can totally see that. And I will draw this out for my clients oftentimes when we're in session to give them a good visual of what's taking place in their mind and their emotions. We don't give a lot of thought to our emotions sometimes until we feel a little bit out of control. But, we need to be aware of where I am throughout the day. When you're feeling agitated, or maybe you're feeling a little frustrated, feeling a little anxious, you need to be aware of what you're doing. This is where people get caught and they feel like they went from 0 to 10 in 2 seconds, when in reality, they were moving up on the continuum throughout the day. They just weren't paying attention to their thoughts and feelings and emotions. So the first thing I do with my clients is in that continuum is I draw it out for them. So I'm going to just draw a straight line here, over here. And so when we have this continuum, obviously we have 1 being right there. And 1 is that state of being just, calm. I'm just completely calm, okay? And that's when I'm really relaxed. I'm not annoyed. I'm not bothered by anything. I'm feeling pretty just relaxed. I'm just kind of going through my day. Nothing is agitating me. I don't feel anxious. I'm just kind of moving throughout my day, feeling pretty good. Well, as we go up, and I'm going to mark these out because I'm going to put this as the middle point, and this is going to be obviously 10 up here. So as we're going through our day, different things kind of happen. And as different things kind of happen, we can kind of start moving our way up on the continuum. And this is the part where I tell my clients, I really encourage my clients to pay close attention. This is the area here. So if we look from between 1 and 5, this is the area people don't pay attention to and why they end up feeling like I went from 0 or to 1 to 10 in 2 seconds. Because we don't pay attention to this. This is the most important. This is the easy part when we get there of recognizing. It's here that most of us don't pay attention. Okay, so when we look at this complete calm, and right here, number 10, I'm just going to mark this out for you. This is like enraged panic. That's that. I mean, when you're at a 10, okay, enraged or at a full panic attack, a state of panic, I mean, you're full blown at 10. Okay, so I want you to realize the difference. Complete calm, not calm at all. You're far from calm. So that's when we look at that continuum, how far apart we are. I'm going to grab a different color because I like using colors. So when we look at some of this and when we're kind of, trying to pay attention here to where we are on this continuum, like I said, this is where I want people to really pay attention and to really focus on, okay? Because it is in this area here where as you're slowly moving up, it's kind of when you get up in the morning and something doesn't go right and you're getting your breakfast and maybe something isn't working well and you're like, oh, and you get a little annoyed, so I'm going to put this right on you. And so you're feeling a little bit of annoyed at some point. Okay. If you have some annoyances, maybe you're feeling a little bothered. That kind of bothers me. Those are kind of words that are cues for us, and that we hear ourselves say, that kind of bothers me. I didn't like that. That was annoying. We're just kind of feeling a little just off. We're not feeling complete calm anymore. Does that make sense? So you're kind of moving up, and you're kind of, and this is why I said this area here is super important for people to pay attention to, because this is the part we dismiss. That was just a little annoyance. Oh, that person in traffic today, that really bothered me. And we don't pay attention. And what happens when I don't pay attention to this, so I'm up here and I'm moving up, I'm not paying attention to it, then if I don't reset myself to get back to calm. If I don't reset myself to get back to calm, I stay here. And if I stay here, then it's easier for me to bump up a little bit further. So let's just say I'm heading out to work. I'm a little annoyed. Things didn't go right for breakfast. Or maybe I'm getting in the car and the traffic, I forgot about construction on this road over here. And I'm sitting behind these people. I'm running a little bit late. And so I'm sitting annoyed. By the time I get to work, if I don't reset and pay attention and reset myself back to calm, now I'm sitting here. And it won't take much to start bumping me up to here. Something else. Someone at work says something to you that you didn't care for. And that really, that really bothered me. Now it's not just, oh, that bothers me. Now I'm getting a little bit more, that really kind of ticks me off. That really upsets me. Now I'm getting a little bit more frustrated, more agitated. So when we get to 5 over here, we are kind of at the state where we're kind of like, okay, now I'm more frustrated. I'm more agitated. Okay. So irritated. You might hear yourself saying, oh, that irritates me. That really upsets me or upsets me. So we're going to use upset. Sorry, I'm not writing the best. Kind of hard to write standing up. Upset, irritated. Okay, so now here you are at 5. So you've kind of bounced yourself up because you didn't reset back to calm. And what's interesting though is this here, we kind of are pretty aware of it. We really know when we're irritated and agitated. That's kind of sitting there. What's interesting though is majority of the time we do not take the time to process it and start getting ourselves to move back down to reset to calm. We just kind of let ourselves sit there. We try to distract away from it. We try to move away. We try to do anything to kind of just like, oh, whatever, just don't deal with it. And then we try to just move on with our day. The problem is when I don't deal with it and I just try to move on, guess where I'm sitting? So I'm sitting here throughout my day. So it's not going to take long, right? Isn't going to take long for something to start bumping me up, getting me closer to 10. Now I will say this can take a little bit longer. So this might take more things to get you to here. But I am going to let you know from 5 to 10, it doesn't take much. That's a faster progression. So I always tell my clients, really pay attention. So I'm going to switch colors because I like to use colors. Okay, so really pay attention. I want you to pay attention to this area here, okay? I'm going to draw a circle around it. I want you to pay attention here because this part here, it's much easier to reset yourself from 5 down to a 1 back to calm than it is to get yourself to an 8 or a 9 and then to try to reset. It takes longer and you're kind of having to move and do more things to get yourself back down. But if I pay attention here and I start handling things here, it'll happen more quickly to start moving myself back down and resetting. I teach kids this all the time too. I want all my clients to know how to catch themselves and how to pay attention to the continuum of emotional balance. So the clients that aren't aware and for people who just don't pay attention, then they start noticing they start moving up faster. And you will. When you start sitting here at 5, you're going to move more quickly up to 10 because now you're already sitting at agitated, upset, irritated. Not going to take much for a coworker or one of your kids to come in, say something, and you snap and get irritated. Have you ever overreacted to something? We all have. Probably because you were sitting somewhere here and you weren't taking care of it and someone came in, ever overreact with your kid, maybe your spouse, and the people are like, what the heck? What are you doing? Why did you get so mad at me? They're confused because they didn't know you were sitting here at 5 and you weren't paying attention and noticing you were sitting at 5 and you didn't take care of it. And so didn't take much. They come in, say something, and you got bounced and you got pushed all the way to 10. And again, 10 we said is that enraged panic. Maybe at this point I'm, I might be more aggressive and more volatile at this point. I'm kind of exploding at this point, okay? You're exploding. And whatever you're exploding, I don't even know if you'll be able to read that. Not writing very well on that one. And whatever your exploding looks like, because everyone's exploding looks different. Someone's exploding could be a full-blown panic attack. They're just freaking out. Another person's exploding could be yelling, screaming, throwing things. Another person's exploding could be destruction of stuff or walking out. I'm done. I'm out of here. And they just walk out and people are going, what's going on? So exploding can look different to different people. So individually, when I'm working with clients, we kind of identify what their explosion looks like because we all have different personalities, we'll have different backgrounds. And so recognizing what that might look like for one person may look different to another person. So the key, obviously, if I'm up here, it's going to take a lot to get me back down here. Because once you hit exploding, you have now, in one episode I did that explained the window of tolerance, or you've moved way out of your window of tolerance. You're in hyper arousal most likely at that point, or hypo arousal, and you are not functioning well at that moment. And you may need to take some time to reprocess and walk down. Got a lot of cleaning up to do once you get to a 10. And when I say a lot of cleaning up to do, you got your own emotional self to clean up, but then everybody you just threw up on and just kind of like, blah, all over them, you're going to have to do some emotional cleanup with that. So this is why we don't want to allow ourselves to get here and stay here so we get bumped to a 10. We have to learn how to begin to regulate our emotions in this area and take care of them and recognize them and have some self-awareness so I'm not moving all the way and sitting here. It's funny because I was working with a family the other day, and one of the kids, teenager, who's we've been working through some things, she came in and she announced, and I'm so glad she did because it helped us with the session, but she announced to the family that she goes, I'm already feeling anxious. So I just want you to know, I'm already feeling anxious. And I said, thank you for telling us that, because, and on my whiteboard, I'd already had something similar to this. So she goes, that's kind of where I am. So she was able to identify on the continuum, she was sitting right here, right before the 5. So we knew it wasn't going to take much for her to get pushed over and go into a more anxious state where she might become a little bit more volatile, a little bit more snotty, if you want to call it. When they say our kids are snotty. And you know what? Throughout the session, I saw her do that multiple times. I was able to redirect and go, remember, you came in saying you were anxious. You were already feeling that way. And what was said here just seemed to bump you up. You couldn't handle that. So I was able to help work with her to get her back down into a more calm state. I couldn't get her back to 1 because we were dealing with some things in that family session that was not going to bring her back to a 1. But I was able to redirect her to get her back down into this range, a little bit lower than what she was. So see, being aware of what you're feeling and thinking. So this 14-year-old was quite aware where she was sitting on the continuum, which was helpful. It helped the family gauge and helped me gauge the session. So think how helpful that will be for you if you know where you're sitting. And once it, so how do I handle it? So typically in the mornings when I get up, if I'm doing something, I don't like to feel rushed. And a lot of times I'm rushed. And that is something that will move me from a calm state into this more annoyed and bothered state. And then if I'm rushed getting out my door, and I'm going down the road and I'm dealing with traffic, and I'm not the most patient driver, I will be honest with you, I'm not. Other drivers tend to annoy me, bother me. So if I'm already sitting here, by the time I get to work, I can feel a little bit more agitated and irritated. So when I start recognizing I'm going that, all of a sudden I just start, and I'm a talker, I'm a verbal processor. So I begin to talk to God in my car. I'll say, okay, God, I'm really feeling agitated right now, and I don't like this. I don't want to feel this way. I pray, God, just help me to calm myself. Help me to just to reset. And then when I get to work, sometimes I'll take that minute or two just to sit, whether it's in my car or in my office, and I will do some breathing and just kind of getting in control of my thoughts. You see, your thoughts, when they come in this, are in a place of where they're fueling your more annoyed state or your agitated state. And so redirecting your thoughts. I love Philippians chapter 4 and verse 7, and it says, "And the peace of God that passes all understanding will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus." And the verse after that, verse 8, tells you what kinds of things do you need to think on. It says we need to think things that are good, that are a good report, that are true, that are noble. We're to think on things that are praiseworthy. So if you go to Philippians 4, verse 8, it'll tell you the type of things you need to think on and dwell on. And why? Because that calm state produces the peace of God over us. And we need to invite that in. So redirecting our thoughts. So it's really crucial. And I'm going to go back to the black marker since my red one doesn't seem to be doing it. So it's at this point, I want to redirect my thoughts. Okay? Redirect thoughts. Because it's at this moment, okay, it's in this area here that if I start redirecting my thoughts, it's going to prevent me from continuing throughout the day to bump further and further up. I don't want to move up. I want to move down. So redirecting my thoughts is going to pull me down. So I really am encouraging you, and I encourage my clients, I encourage everyone, pay attention to the little annoyances. Years ago when I was a teacher, and we did a teacher training, and at one of the trainings, one of the sessions was on little tigers. And I was like, oh, this is cute, because I thought they were going to talk about something. I was a kindergarten teacher. I thought it was going to be something creative to do with the classroom. But what was interesting is this session that was on little tigers, they talked about very simple. It was just a little different way of explaining it. It said that the little tigers throughout your day that are going to begin to agitate and start annoying you as you let them continue to nip at you, bite at you, and continue to come after you, your little heels, nip at your heels. It's those little things. And so in that session, they started talking about how to pay attention to the little things so it doesn't turn into a big thing, which is a gigantic tiger, which is there. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is I want you to pay attention to the little things. So today, I don't know what time of day you're watching this or listening to this, but I want you to think about today, what were some things here that got me kind of more agitated, annoyed, and that. When I was leaving my house, I was already running late. I'd forgotten a few things. I had to go back in, get a few things. So I already was feeling a little annoyed. Okay. Then as I was driving down here, I don't know what was up with traffic. I just get annoyed sometimes with traffic. I don't know what was up with it, but people seem to be driving a little bit slower today. And so I was getting frustrated with traffic. I started moving. I felt myself moving. So I immediately had to go to redirect my thoughts. So I immediately started going, God, bring me down to a calm state. I don't want to feel agitated. I have a lot of things I need to do today. That was another thing that was putting me here. And Lord, help me manage my time. God, see, that's how I redirect my thoughts. I just begin to talk to God and I process out. I'm a verbal processor. That's how I do it. Some of you might have to sit somewhere quietly and just sit and do some mindfulness. Pull up a mindfulness video on your YouTube app, or if you have one of the apps on your phone of mindfulness, you can kind of work through some of you need more of that quiet way of redirecting and getting your thoughts back into balance. Everyone's a little bit different. Someone might need to verbalize out to another person, hey, I'm feeling frustrated, and have someone say, yeah, I know it's hard, but you know what, you got this, you're going to have a good day today. Go to someone who's going to encourage calm, not encourage you further up. So don't go to somebody who's going to go, I know, and then you know what, on top of that, guess what's going to happen today? Something, and then you notice they move up. Have you ever had that where you've talked to somebody to help bring you down to calm and it actually agitated you more and pushed you up? That's your cue. Don't go to that person when I need to go down on the emotional continuum. I need to go to someone who's more calming, that can encourage me, that will help bring me back down. Some people have that effect on others, is that calming state of just having someone go, yeah, that must have been really hard. Or, yeah, I can see why you're frustrated. Take some deep breaths. You got this. Today's going to be a good day. I love those people. That's the people we need that help bring us to a place of calm. So what happens if I get bumped up here into the more, as I'm moving from agitated, upset to irritated, now I'm just downright ticked off. I'm angry. I'm really upset. I'm bothered. I'm more than just bothered. I'm at the point of where I want to yell at somebody. And you might be starting to yell at people at this point. You know when you're there. This is not a hidden area that people go, I didn't even know I was there. Didn't even know I was angry. You know you're angry. The problem is some people are okay being there at that time. Don't ever allow yourself to be okay sitting here without going back and processing, because that will just push you all the way up to that 10. And you're going to get here. And again, you're going to be cleaning up a bigger mess than just your own emotional response to yourself. So when you get to that place of being angry, pull yourself away. Get up. If you snap at somebody and you're kind of being really snippy or at work or something, and someone's like, whoa, what's up with you? Remove yourself. Okay. So you can start, I don't care if you have to go to the bathroom, go somewhere where you can go private, whether it's in your car. In Arizona, it's a little hot right now. So to go in our car, you better make sure you have some air conditioning, but go somewhere into a quiet place. If you have an office, shut your door. And first of all, take some deep breaths. And when I say deep breaths, I mean fill your belly. It's like filling a balloon, full on breathing it in, holding, and then breathing out. And do that about 2 or 3 times, because we want that oxygen to go into the brain so we can start thinking more clearly. Because when you get to this area here, you're not thinking clearly. Okay, you're agitated. Your brain is now going into all these places. We need some oxygen to kind of bring us back down to think clearly. Pull yourself away. So I'm going to put that up here. Here I'm redirecting thoughts quickly. Here I need to step away or pull myself away. So I want to pull myself away. Maybe I'm going to say pull myself aside. Have you ever had a parent pull you aside, a boss pull you aside, somebody pull you aside when you weren't acting appropriately? Do that to yourself, for yourself. It's really for yourself. Pull yourself aside, okay? And take a few moments and go, what am I doing? What's going on? Take some breaths. I'm feeling agitated. And this right here, I'm going to tell you, if you're over here, you need to do some mindfulness. So mindfulness is that thing that really comes in and it teaches your brain how to get into control. It's really teaching self-control. And then as you do some mindfulness, and it does work. I don't care what people say, mindfulness works. And there are some wonderful apps out there. I have clients that download them on their phone. Sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I will go to YouTube and just Google, mindfulness, breathing techniques, mindfulness. I like the ones from the university because they're a little bit more structured. Some people do their own and they can be really great. But if I have someone here, I want them using something that is a little bit more structured. And do some mindfulness at this point. That's why I want you to pull yourself aside by yourself. Go into an area. Do not go with somebody and vent. That is not going to help you here. Venting is appropriate sometimes when we're kind of releasing out emotions, but if you're already at this point, venting is not productive. Processing is. So I want you to pull yourself aside. I want you to do some mindfulness, because mindfulness will drop you from there. It'll drop you back down to about here. And then you can start moving yourself back down. Because see, once I'm here at 5, I can begin to redirect my thoughts. I can go back. I can start looking at Philippians 4:8. Okay, what things do I need to think about? What things are productive? What things are praiseworthy? What things are good? What things are life-giving? And I redirect my thoughts. So when you're looking at this continuum, I tell people all the time, draw it out for yourself. That's a homework assignment for some of my clients. If I want them that are struggling with recognizing where they are, I will tell them, I want you to draw this out and I want you to bring it back to your next session for daily. I want a daily record. Sometimes I print it out on a sheet of, we'll print it out on the computer and it's up, they can mark it themselves. Some of them like to do things in their phone. I don't care. But sometimes it's a homework assignment. So I'm assigning you a homework assignment. I want you to start paying attention to your emotional continuum, your emotional balance. I want you to start drawing this out daily and recognizing where am I throughout the day. Start paying attention if you're sitting it agitated at a 5, and upset, irritated. If you're sitting there, I want you to start practicing moving yourself back down to a state of calm. If you're struggling with any of this, you're like, I don't have the skills, I just can't seem to redirect my thoughts, I can't seem to do it, then I want you to definitely partner with someone. Partner with a counselor, partner with, someone who's more emotionally mature than you are, has been there, has learned a few things, so that you can learn some skills. You have to have some skills and use some mindfulness. It is helpful. David in the Psalms used mindfulness. He says, I meditate on the Lord. He taught himself how to meditate on the Lord day and night and meditate. He brought his thoughts into subjection. And that's kind of, in order to have emotional balance, you have to be able to bring your thoughts into subjection. And when we do that, we want to bring them into subjection to the obedience of Christ. Where does God want my thoughts? He wants me at calm. He wants me productive. Anger has its place, appropriate anger, and that will be for another broadcast. But right now we're talking about where it's inappropriate, where you're just not managing your own emotions well. But, we need to be able to be at a place of calm. And we are going to bump up a little bit, and that's normal. But I don't want people bumping up here frequently, because then you're going to stay there. So I hope this broadcast helped you today. And it was a little bit different, and I tend to go a little fast. You may have to listen to it a couple times. I hope the visual was helpful for you to recognize where you might be operating on this continuum. But God wants you to walk in freedom. He wants you to live in freedom. He wants you to be able to manage your emotions. And so today, I hope this helped you take a few steps forward to living free.